श्रीमद्भगवद्गीतासु श्रीमद्भगवद्गीतासु
No, bha. Yeah, Bhagavad Gita.
Bhagavadgitasu.
No, you should say Mahaprana in the bha as Mahaprana. Bhagavad Gitasu. Okay.
Okay.
Upanishatsu.
Upanishatsu.
No, don't elongate.
Upanishatsu.
There is no bar on you. That means you have to, it is short vowel.
Okay.
Upanishatsu.
Upanishatsu.
Brahma Vidyayam.
Brahma Vidyayam.
There you should say Brahma.
Brahma Vidyayam.
Very good. Yoga Shastre.
Yoga Shastre.
Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade.
Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade.
Bhakti Yoga Nama.
Bhakti Yoga Nama.
Dvadashodhyayaha.
Dvadashodhyayaha.
There adhyaya is Mahaprana. Dhya, okay?
Dhya.
Dvadashodhyayaha.
Dvadashodhyayaha.
Okay, now let me teach even more in 4 lines, okay? Om Tat Saditi.
Om Tat Saditi.
Srimad Bhagavad Gitasu.
Srimad Bhagavad Gitasu.
Upanishatsu.
Upanishatsu.
Brahma Vidyayam.
Brahma Vidyayam.
Brahma Vidyayam.
Brahma Vidyayam.
Very good. Yoga Shastre.
Yoga Shastre.
Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade.
Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade.
Bhakti Yoga Nama.
Bhakti Yoga Nama.
Dvadashodhyayaha.
Dvadashodhyayaha.
Okay.
Okay.
Once, can you repeat yourself?
Okay.
Okay. Try, but try to focus on Mahapranas. Okay.
Okay. Om Tat Saditi. Srimad Bhagavad Gitasu. Upanishatsu. Brahma Vidyayam. Yoga Shastre. Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade. Bhakti Yoga Nama. Dvadashodhyayaha.
Okay. Here, Brahma Vidya, you said Mahaprana is not there. Then Bhakti Yoga, you should say, stress it and say Mahaprana. Then end of it, Dvadashodhyayaha. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Okay. Repeat that last portion. You know it or I will teach you?
Yes,
Can I tell, ma'am?
Okay.
Can
Yes.
I tell, ma'am?
Yes, Anvit, you tell. Anvit.
Om Tatsavitim Ata Srimad Bhagavad Gitasu Upanishatsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishnarjuna Samvade Bhakti Yoga Nama Dvadashodhyayaha.
Harihi Om.
Hari Om.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.
Bhyo is Mahaprana there. Shri
Shri
Gurubhyo.
Guru Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.
Harihi Om Tat Sat.
Hari Om Tat Sat.
Okay, very good. Even in the earlier part you chanted, you have to stress on Mahaprana. Okay? Okay. Thank you. Sir, is it okay?
Yeah, fantastic, madam.
Okay. Yes.
We have forgotten Ishita has to explain the verse also.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
Can you go ahead?
Te bhaktaha, those devotees, madparamaha, who keep me as the primary goal, tuye, and who, shraddha dhanaha, par upasate, faithfully pursue, idam dharmyamritam, this righteous and immortal teaching, yathoktam, as mentioned above, ativ priyaha, are very dear to me. Those devotees who keep me as their primary goal and who faithfully pursue this righteous and immortal teaching as mentioned above are very dear to me. Thank you.
Very nice, Ishita. And today we learned excellently the better way of chanting. This way, if ma'am can teach us all the verses, it will be very good. My request to students are, they should learn after the class also. They can prepare it by going to the YouTube channel. I'm uploading all the verses. Please go and chant from there so you can practice better for the competition.
Sir, can I get a verse in next class?
Yeah, I'll give you next class. And the only devotee, only such devotee if I see, who pursues the teachings of the Bhagwan, the dharmic teaching and the immortal teachings from this Bhagavad Gita, that I can tell here is none other than Hanuman. Hanuman was the only such devotee full of love and followed the teachings of Rama. You all know the story of Bhagwan and his devotee Hanuman, who could do miracle by following the teaching of his guru. And that's why I posted this picture of.
Sir, he could move mountains or just sing Jai Ram, Jai Ram.
Yes. Yes, he will be chanting Rama's name. Whatever he does, he will chant that name. So that much pure his love was towards this Bhagwan. And today we have summary of Bhakti Yoga. Chapter 12. We'll start with Aditi. With her first 5, this is an experiment to know and to revise our entire classes. So please listen carefully, learn from these 5 verses. We have 4 such speakers and I hope we'll finish in time. Go ahead.
Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. The 12th chapter of Gita is called Bhakti Yoga, and it is the last chapter of Madhyama Shatkam, which deals with Ishvara Swarupa. Bhakti Yoga is one of the shortest chapters in Bhagavad Gita, yet it is a comprehensive chapter which gives the essence of the entire Vedas. The chapter begins with Arjuna asking a question based on the previous teaching. He asks, is Saguna Bhakta superior or Nirguna Bhakta superior? Here we need to understand who is Saguna Ishvara and Nirguna Ishvara. Guna means attributes, which has names and forms. So Saguna Ishvara means the God with names and forms. Saguna Ishvara is of 2 types. One is Ekarupa Saguna Ishvara and the second one is Anekarupa Saguna Ishvara or Vishwarupa Saguna Ishvara. So Ekarupa Saguna Ishvara is God who we see in temples, like for example Lord Rama, Krishna, Durga, Jesus, etc. And then we have Anekarupa Saguna Ishvara. meaning the manifestation of the very God as the universe which has living beings, including all of us, as well as non-living beings. So now we can understand that both Ekarupa and Anekarupa Ishvara have attributes, and therefore they are Saguna Ishvara. Nirguna Ishvara is the highest form of God which has no attributes. If there are no attributes, we cannot perceive the God. This attributeless God is the consciousness principle which is called Brahman or Atma by our scriptures. What does Krishna say? In the second verse, Krishna indicates that the question itself is wrong, as it is asking whether water is good or air is good. To compare any two things, it has to be in the same category. Saguna Bhakti and Nirguna Bhakti are never compared, as Saguna Bhakti is the stepping stone to reach Nirguna Bhakti. So Saguna Bhakti is Dvaitam, which is required to reach Nirguna Bhakti, which is Advaitam. While answering this question, Krishna gives 5 different stages of Bhakti. Which is as follows: Sakama Karma Bhakti, Nishkama, second one is Nishkama Karma Yoga Bhakti, third is Eka Rupa Upasana Bhakti, fourth is Aneka or Vishwa Rupa Upasana Yoga Bhakti, and the fifth one is Arupa or Nirguna Jnana Yoga Bhakti. This is the highest form of Bhakti. Krishna says, those who are ever committed in pure Saguna Upasakas are indeed great, as they are the ones who will ultimately reach Nirguna Ishvara. In verse 3 and 4, Lord Krishna describes that what is Nirguna Ishvara. He says it is the next slide. The next one. He says it is avyaktam, which means that cannot be perceived by any sense organs. Achintyam, which cannot be conceived. Anirdeshyam, which cannot be described. Sarvagatam, all pervading. Achalam, that which cannot move. Kutasthalam, that which is free from modifications, and Dhruvam, eternal. To attain this Nirguna Brahman, one has to master sense organs and mind while practicing Saguna Bhakti. Such a Bhakta should also have equanimity under all circumstances, which means one should have strong raga and dvesha. One should not have strong raga and dvesha. Such a bhakta should also be committed to the well-being of our living beings, including plants. Krishna says such a bhakta will attain Nirguna Ishvara. In verse 5, Krishna says that Nirguna Bhakti is indeed very difficult path, especially for those who do not have the preparatory qualifications, as they will have strong attachment to their own body and mind. For such an unprepared person, Krishna also gives answers in the subsequent verses. Hari Om. Thank you.
Excellent, Aditi. Very nicely you explained the first 5 verses. As she very correctly pointed out, that the first verse is a question. Second verse is answer to Arjuna's question. And then third verse, the example of space is given. That how the Swarupa can be compared to something which cannot be felt, touched, anything. That's like space. And in the fourth verse, he gives the example of a bhakta who is the Nirguna Upasaka, who is equanimous in all the situations. He doesn't have any raga and dvesha, any likes and hatreds. And in 5th verse, Lord confesses actually that the highest bhakti is very difficult, children. It's not very easy to worship something which is not seen, isn't it? So that is what he says in the 5th verse. We will see in the next 5 verses, which is explained by Sashank, what it is meant by worshipping such a bhakti, what it is mean. Over to you, Sashank.
Yes, uncle. Hari Om. Today, let's discuss about the 6th to 10th verse of the 12th chapter. Uncle, next. So, this, as Aditi said, this is the last chapter of Madhyama Shatakam. The first 3 chapters of Madhyama Shatakam, in the first 3 chapters of Madhyama Shatakam, Lord describes how his bhakta would be. And in the next chapter, he describes about his vibhuti. And in the next chapter, he shows his Virata Rupa. And in this 12th chapter, which is the last chapter of Madhyama Shatakam, Lord ordains Arjuna to do bhakti on him. And he gives everyone and step down process. Uncle, next slide. Till the verse slide. Yes. So, let me just chant the verses. Uncle, I'll just take less. So, ye tu sarvani karmani mayi sanyasya matpara ananyenaiva yogena mam dhyayanta upasate teshamaham samuddharta mrityu samsara sagarat bhavami nachirat partha mayyaveshita chetasam mayyeva manadatsva mayi buddhim niveshaya niveshishyasi mayyeva ata urdhvam na samshaya. So, in these 3 verses, Lord Krishna explains about the Prema Bhakti, that he says you should constantly think about him. In the first 2 verses, he says, he explains this. And in the last verse, the 8th verse, Lord Krishna asks Arjuna, says Arjuna to do bhakti on him. And Uncle explains. So some examples of Prema Bhakti one of the example is Sant Gorokumbha. So I think most of the people would have heard the story of Sant Gorokumbha. So he was a potter who was a great bhakta of Lord Krishna. While he does pottery, or like when he stamps the mud to make the clay, he'll be thinking of Lord Krishna and he'll be mesmerized in his thoughts. But once his child, crossed, came to that place, but when Sant Gorokumbar was stamping the mud, but because Gorokumbar was mesmerized in Lord's thoughts, he didn't see his child coming, and he by not knowing, he stamped the child and it died. But don't take it in the wrong way. This is just a Lord's Leela, and Lord gave the baby back to Gorokumbar. This story is just to explain that how a Prema Bhakta would be. How mesmerized and how much times a Prema Bhakta would think about a Lord. Uncle, explain. So one more example is Prahlad Maharaj. His father Hiranyakashipu, in anger, tried to kill him in many ways. So one of the ways is Hiranyakashipu tried to push Prahlada from a mountain, but Prahlada didn't care about his life. He didn't feel anything about his life, but he was worried about Lord Krishna. He even said, "Oh Lord Krishna, you are inside my heart, and if I fall down, what will happen to you?" He was worried about Lord Krishna, but not about his own life. So see how much bhakti he had on Lord Krishna. Until next. So then I'll just chant the next verse. अत चित्तं समाधातुं न शक्नोषि मयि स्थिरम् अभ्यासयोगेन ततो मामिच्छाप्तुं धनञ्जय. So here in this verse, Lord Krishna says, okay, if we can't do Prema Bhakti, keep constant thought on me, you can step down. You can do Navavida Bhakti, which I explained in previous class when I presented Bhakti. The Navavida Bhakti are Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnoho Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Mandanam, Dasyam, Shakyam, Atmanivedanam. So if you can't do Prema Bhakti, you can do Navavida Bhakti. So I'll chant the next verse. अभ्यासे अप्यसमर्थासि मत्कर्म परम भव मद् अर्थम अपि कर्माणि कुर्वं सिद्धिम वाप्स्यसि. In this verse, Lord Krishna says, okay, if you can't do Navavida Bhakti also, you can step down one more step. Do Karma Yoga. Do every work you do, do it for me. So he says do it for him, Lord. So by doing that, you'll slowly increase in develop in Bhakti and start doing Navavida Bhakti. And by doing Navavida Bhakti, you'll again develop in Bhakti and do Prema Bhakti. So this is what step down approach. So Lord Krishna's finally Lord Krishna says, the highest form of Bhakti is Prema Bhakti. If you can't do Prema Bhakti, you can step down, do Navavida Bhakti. If you also can't do Navavida Bhakti, you can step down, you can do Karma Yoga, and finally you will, by doing Karma Yoga, you will develop again, and finally you will attain me. Thank you, Hari.
Very nice.
Doubt.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So we have seen that how we step down, but step down doesn't mean you stay there. Okay, you have to climb up. If you see that some jumps, they take high jump, they take two step back and then they start the jump. So you have to jump up in the ladder. You don't come down.
Sir,
You have to go up. Okay.
If we can't do Karma Yoga, then what we will do?
Then we have to take another life.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, but we want to get mukti, the moksha in this life only, right? We have seen that, how to do it.
Yes, sir.
Sir, I wanted to ask.
Yes.
Here, what to say? If we are in another birth, we don't know whether we'll get the chance to learn this, right?
Exactly. Because of our lot of punyas you children have done, or you have already studied like Prahlada, lot of things, you are called Yoga Brashta, who at the younger age you are learning Bhagavad Gita. You are stars for so many people, because many people don't even know Bhagavad Gita till their 70s, 80s. You people know at 7 and 8 years of age. So I don't think so there is any chance for you to take one more life. You will already get everything in this life itself. So let us.
Because if in other births, we won't have the chance to learn this.
Yeah, that's right, Sharo. So let us go to 11 to 15 explanation of the verses by Akash, right?
Yes, sir. Hari Om. In chapter 12, Krishna mainly talks about the importance of devotion and spiritual practice. In verses 11 and 12, though, he mentions about renunciation of fruits of action and its benefits. Verses 11 and 12 go like this. Athaitadapya shaktosi kartum madhyogamarshritaha sarvakarma phalatyagam tatah kuruyatatmavan shreyo hi jnanam abhyasad jnanadhyanam vishishyate dhyanat karma phalatyagaha tyagachantiranantaram. Here, Krishna says that for those seekers who are unable to fix their mind steadily on the Lord with devotion, they should try to renounce the fruits of their action and accept the results as God's will. Further, he says that better than mechanical practice is knowledge, better than knowledge is meditation. Better than meditation is renunciation of the fruits of actions, for peace immediately follows such renunciation. To summarize, in these verses, we learn that renouncing the fruits of action is a simple and guaranteed way for attaining peace in life. From verse 13 onwards, the focus shifts back to devotion. Verses 13 and 14 go like this. Adveshtha sarvabhutanam maitra karuna yevacha nirmamo nirahankaraha samadukha sukha kshami santushta satatam yogi yatatma drida nishchayaha mayyarpitamano buddhihi yo madbhaktas same priyaha. In these verses, Krishna highlights some of the most important traits of his devotees. He says, "Those devotees are very dear to me, who are free from malice towards all living beings, who are friendly and compassionate. They are free from attachment to possessions and egoism, equipoise in happiness and distress, and never forgiving. They are ever content, steadily united with me in devotion, self-control, of firm resolve, and dedicated to me in mind and intellect." Verse 15 goes like this. Yasmano dvijate loko lokano dvijate chayaha harshamarshambhayodvegaihi mukto yassa cha me priyaha. Continuing from the previous verse, Krishna says that those who are not a source of annoyance to anyone and who in turn are not agitated by anyone, who are equal in pleasure and pain and free from fear and anxiety, such devotees of mine are very dear to me. To summarize, in these verses, we learn that single-minded devotion to the Lord, along with self-control, equanimity of the mind, compassionate and ever-forgiving nature, helps us to go closer to the Lord and attain His divine grace. Today I will narrate an interesting story of a devotee of Krishna. There once lived a great king named Jaimal who ruled over Merta in Rajasthan. He was the cousin brother of Mirabai. Just like Mirabai, Jaimal too was a great devotee of Krishna. He never liked any disturbance during the time of his Krishna puja, howsoever important may that be. During the reign of Jaimal, King Maldev of Marwar decided to attack and capture Merta. He was a very powerful ruler. So Maldev marched with his army to capture Merta. At that time, Jaimal was busy in his room worshipping Lord Krishna with complete devotion and had told everyone not to disturb him. Now, the commanders of Merta army got the information about Maldev's attack and thus were in a state of panic. They couldn't decide on anything without their king. So the commander-in-chief of Merta approached Jaimal, but was stopped by his gatekeepers who told him not to disturb Jaimal. So he approached Jaimal's mother and requested her to inform him that Mehta is soon about to face a battle and that Maldev was coming. So Jaimal's mother went to Jaimal and told him everything. Jaimal, through hand gestures, signaled his mother to tell his commander-in-chief to go fight in war and that Jaimal himself will soon follow after completing his puja. On orders of his mother, the commander-in-chief of Mehta army went with his forces to the battlefield and made Maldev retreat. Now comes the interesting part. When Jaimal came out of his room and started preparing for battle, he heard cries of Har Har Mahadev and other victory cries and celebration sounds from outside. He went outside to see what had happened. There he saw his commander-in-chief and army shouting victory slogans and dancing. So he called him and asked, "Kya hua?" which means what happened. His commander replied, "What? We won, sir. You won us the battle. Glories to you." Jaimal asked in surprise, "What? I won you the battle?" His commander replied, "Yes, of course. Why so shocked, sir?" Jaimal again said, "But I was in my room worshipping Lord Krishna." His commander said again, "What are you talking about, Maharaj? You arrived after a few minutes and were fighting on the front and were instructing our army on how to fight. We ourselves saw you fighting on your black horse and you manhandled their soldiers. What a fierce display of bravery. You absolutely wreaked havoc on enemies and won us the battle in such a short time. In Hindi, he said, Pakat pakat ke dhoya apne Maharaj. Jaimal was completely surprised, and after pondering over for some time, he went to his room. There he saw that the idol of Lord Krishna, which he used to worship, had water dripping from it as if soaked in sweat. It didn't take too long for Jaimal to realize what had happened. Bhaktvatsal Krishna himself had come to fight in battle for his devotee. Further, he noticed that one kundal from the ears of the idol was missing. So Jaimal himself went to the battlefield and he found the missing kundal lying there, and that place itself is called Kundal in Mehta. From this story, we learn that Krishna takes care of all the needs of those devotees who worship him with single-minded devotion. Hari Om. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Excellent story, which summarizes the last 5 verses. And with that, we go to the ultimate 5 verses from 16 to 20, which will be explained by Vidhi today. Vidhi, go ahead, Vidhi.
Yes. So, Hari Om everyone. Today I'm going to summarize the verses 12.16 to
Vidhi, your voice is very low. Can you come near the...
Yes. Can you hear me now?
Yes, clear.
Okay. Hari Om everyone. Today I'm going to summarize the verses 12.16 to 12.20. So, actually, there's one thing in common in these verses are that these verses all talk about Lord Krishna's devotees. Like they talk about their qualities and like how they behave. So, these qualities are from all the 5 verses. The first quality of the devotees are that they the people are not dependent on the external factors for their happiness or their sorrow. Like suppose in this picture, this girl is dependent on the ice cream for her happiness or her sorrow. The ice cream first time she is sad, but if she gets another ice cream, then she is happy. So she is dependent on the ice cream to feel happy or sad. The next one is that pure. Pure means that the one who is clean externally and internally. So internally, it is internally is like you have to think the truth. Next one, they are impartial. Now that they do not belong to any groupism. Actually, they are not partial. These devotees of Lord Krishna, they are not partial and they do not belong to any group. They are neutral. Like a teacher, she gives chance to every student. She listens to every student and answers every student's question. So she is impartial. Next is undisturbed. These devotees are undisturbed. They do not allow any thought that will disturb their mental health. They do not allow any external factors like that, a thing or even any of their thought that will disturb them. They don't get disturbed by anything. They will do their job without getting disturbed. Next one, they're free from all selfish activities. So, have you heard of Mahatma Gandhi's monkeys? 3 monkeys?
No.
So actually, Mahatma Gandhi's 3 monkeys.
Shara, before you joined, we had somebody had explained it.
Yes, sir. Somebody explained it before.
I've explained it.
Yeah, so actually Mahatma Gandhi's monkeys are, there are 3 monkeys and they are see no evil, hear no evil, and next one, speak no evil. So they are free from this evil activities or the selfish activities. And then next one is that they neither rejoice in anything or they don't grieve. So basically, they don't rejoice in pleasures, nor do they feel sad with their karma phalam, etc. So next one, that they neither desire nor do they hate anything. So they don't desire anything. They're happy with what they have, but they don't hate anything also. They don't have the feeling of hatred in them. Next is that they're neutral. But they do not, again, they do not belong to any, they do not do impartial, they're not impartial and they're neutral. So the next one is one of the hardest one. So they're the same towards friends and foes. They're okay with their friends, but we all are good with our friends. But the same reaction they have with their enemies also. So they're okay with their friends and even their enemies. Next is that they're okay in heat and cold, comfort and discomfort. Actually, this means that they're happy in even comfortable things and even discomfortable things. Next one, they're free from strong attachment. Now this has another term to it, which is raga. And raga is one of the three parts of samsara. So they're free from raga or free from strong attachment. Next one, they're the same towards censure and praise. Now, what is censure? Censure is like disapproval or discouragement. So they're free from censure and praise. So they don't react. They are okay with everything. So they don't feel too happy with praise and they don't feel sad when they're disapproved or when they're sincere. Next one, they're satisfied with everything. They're content. They're a contented person. They're happy with everything they have. Next, they have firm knowledge. They have good knowledge about their inner self, about their higher self. They keep Lord Krishna as their main goal to achieve. They keep Lord Krishna as their primary goal. Next, they faithfully pursue this righteous and immortal teaching of Bhagavad Gita. That means they dedicatedly learn Bhagavad Gita, this teaching of Bhagavad Gita, they dedicatedly learn it. Thank you. Dhanyavadam.
Excellent. All of you, all the four children had really explained so well. In 5 minutes, they have explained five verses. I think this has culminated into a very good chapter 12. And I really thank you all. With that, we'll end the class. But we have 5 minutes after that for discussion.
Sir, can I chant Purnamada?
Only one person chant, the others Vishnu chant.
Can I know?
Wait, Vishnu, chant and we all mute, okay?
Sir, I chant. Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Om Sadgurubhyo Namaha Hari Om Hari Om.
Thank you, Rama. Thank you, all of you.
Hari Om, sir.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Bye, sir. Thank you, sir.
Next,
Thank you, sir.
we will take your question.
Thank you, sir. Sir, see you next week.
See you next. Thank you. Next question.
He came to clean his glasses and he said, like, he answered the question.
Could not hear you, Nayana.
Sir, like, when he was doing the class, my father came to wipe his glasses from the cloth we keep here. So, like, he answered the question, like, the question which I had.
Okay. Vishwesh, question.
Sir, can I do something for the next class, sir?
Yeah. Next class, we will start 9th chapter. So, you can do it. I'll give some verses.
From 1 to 10 verses like that, we'll tell, no, sir, like that. Can I tell?
Okay, that is there, no? For you, next class, you have to chant from 31 to 40 verse of 18th chapter.
Oh.
Yeah, you already.
Next class, yeah, yes, sir. 18th chapter, you should go. Yeah.
18 chapters, 31 to 40.
I sent before 2 months, sir.
Yeah. And next, see, today I am in hurry. Can you ask questions, please, Sharav?
Thank you, sir.
Yes. Actually, I wanted to ask, in the next birth,
Yes.
we have bhakti, but we don't believe in this. So what will happen if we don't believe in God, but we have bhakti?
It is a very good question. This question also asked by Arjuna in the 17th chapter only. That what happens to such bhaktas? Also in today's first verse also he has asked. So the answer would be they would get next janma. Depending upon where the level they were devoted to God, they will get the next janma, probably in the human birth, because they were devoted to God.
But sir, because of their bhakta, I think one day at least they will be have moksha.
Yes, so they will get a good birth, and they will start again, not from beginning, but where they have left, because at least they tried their best to love God and learn from God, but they lacked somewhere in bhakti. So they will be having.
Sir, if they did not get moksha, then in the next birth they'll get a good life.
Yes, they will get a good life. And next question from Aditi.
Sir, will we have competition next week?
I don't think so. We will give some time for the learning of so many verses, and some people have exams, mid exams. Maybe
Yes.
2 more classes we will take of 9th chapter and we'll come for competition. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Of
Okay.
9th chapter, and then for next week we'll have competition.
Competition, correct. But you study for 2 weeks.
Sir, I can study.
Okay.
What are the exams? Good night, sir.
Good night. Good night.
September, my new exams start.
Shivang, your question.
Bye, sir.
Bye.
Sir, I had the same question. Where is the competition?
Competition will be after 2 weeks from now. I'll mention that. Wish you. Okay. If we have, I have to move today. I have a patient now. I have to go out. Okay. Any
Okay,
question?
sir. Bye.
Advance happy Varmalakshmi, sir.
Happy Varma, sir.
Happy
Yes, all of you do some puja. Be at home. Okay. See you next class. Hari Om.
Happy Varma, sir. Bye.
Bye bye. Bye bye. See you.
Bye, uncle. Thank you.
Thank you, Sana, Raghav, Rishikesh, all of you. Thank you.
Bye, sir.
Bye bye.